What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live from Site B here in a small island off the coast of Costa Rica in sunny Southern California in Ventura County in your backyard. It's 8:30 in the morning. It's the 8th day of February 2023 of the great OGL Wizards of the Coast Civil War continues, but let's take a break from that nonsense just because it's time to take a look at all the tabletop role-playing game crowdfunding projects that are coming to an end. All the following crowdfunding projects are coming to an end by the end of this weekish, but you still have a chance to support them. So if I mention something you like, toss them a coin or two. It's always good to support small press publishers, and they send you usually a cool collection of free stuff. As always, I've provided links to anything that I thought might be worth your time this week, and as always, I will make fun of the ones I think are not. But that said, that's just part of my shtick. Take anything I say with a grain of salt. If you see anything on here that I mentioned that you're actually interested in, run, don't walk to your favorite Kickstarter, crowdfunding, backlight, group funding, game funding, Itch.io, Lulu. What's the other one now? There's another new one. I don't know. Your favorite site that does these things and support them. There's like 8 now. Because I don't know. I've lost track. Remember, it was just Kickstarter. Okay, let's go. From our friend at Monty Cook Games, we have Adventures in the Cypher System. This is a Cypher System source book for $60 is the most popular pledge. It gets you all 3 books plus some additional unlock stuff, but it's only PDFs. $60 for PDFs for Monty Cook. Well, never let it be said that Monty Cook doesn't charge outrageous sums of money for his product. Remember the $290 role-playing game that he made? Invisible Suns or whatever it was called? Whatever happened with that? So this looks like it's some supplemental adventures for the Cypher system, which I hear relatively either good things about or bad things about. Anyways, yeah, so here we go. It looks like they're also coming out with a Cypher Beginners box set soon. So that'll be exciting. If you're very interested in the Cypher system, you could just pick up the box set. In this collection of adventures, it looks like we have some post-apocalypse adventures, an urban fantasy adventure, a bestiary, and more. So this is a good way to get some campaign starter goodness for the Cypher system for $60 for PDFs. Moving on from Synomony Publications, we have Cities Without Numbers. This was announced like a year ago. It went live on Kickstarter 2 weeks ago, and now it has already been funded, and its Kickstarter is coming to an end. This comes to us from the amazing, award-winning Kevin Crawford, the man who brought us Stars Without Numbers and Worlds Without Numbers. We now have Cities Without Numbers. Now, I thought this would be the next step in sort of the downward spiral he's making, because first it was Stars Without Numbers, like here's all of outer space. Then it was Worlds Without Numbers, and it was like here's to build the individual worlds in the outer space with a fantasy twist. So I thought the next one would be about building cities in the worlds in that space. But no, it's a cyberpunk game, which could still fit the theme of now here's, space, fantasy, cyberpunk. So this is all about building cyberpunk campaigns in cyberpunk cities, and has the same level of amazingness that Worlds Without Number and Stars Without Numbers has. So don't be surprised if it's nominated for some awards pretty soon. I was going to kickstart this, but it is incredibly expensive. Anyways, it's $80 for the PDF and print versions of the books is the most popular pledge. It's the Synomony OSR system that they used for Worlds Without Numbers and Stars Without Number. And it's, like I said, it's the same level of amazingness that Kevin's other stuff is. So yeah, if this doesn't win some awards, I'll be surprised. From Dead Channel Studio licensing Dragon Turtle games. Dead Channel Studios licensing Dragon Turtle games. Is that all one name? Or are you Dead Channel Studios, licensing Dragon Turtle games? Probably a better way to say that than we are Dead Channel Studios we're in partnership with Dragon Turtle Games, or we're Dead Channel Studios And we also do the Dead Turtle game stuff, Dragon Turtle game stuff. There's probably a better way to say that. Anyways, we have Carbon 2185 and the Legacy Rising for 5e. This is a cyberpunk hack of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Now, how will you be affected by the OGL D5 SRD? Because here's a completely different world using basically the 5e engine, but taken apart and put back together to create a D25e cyberpunk. Which I don't know if 5e is the best system for cyberpunk. It could be. I would have to see how they modified it. But anyways, it would be completely unrecognizable from the 5e we know. So does the SRD 5.1 cover this? Or because it is not 5e D&D adjacent, is it a separate own thing and it is not protected by the SRD 5.1? As we know, Ryan Delancey, the father of the original OGL, made some statements on Friday and Monday that the SRD Creative Commons Wizards of the Coast chose to put 5.1 under probably is not the best one. And actually there was a better one to do what it is they said they were doing. And the one that they put it under kind of has some limitations and also kind of gives them some wiggle room to do some of the things with the SRD that we are concerned they're doing. Now, there was a lot of words that Delancey said and numbers and things that I don't even want to try and repeat because it's mathy, numbery, politicky, bureaucracy stuff. And you know what they say, anybody who loves sausage or the law should never see either made. But basically, there are multiple versions of the Creative Commons. There's not just one worldwide catch-all. There, it's divided into various sub chunks. And this chunk covers this things and let you do this. And this chunk covers this things and lets you do this. And this chunk covers this things and lets you do this. But it all upwardly mobile falls under the general heading of Creative Commons. But then once you get below it, there are several branches of the Creative Commons family tree. Now, according to Delancey, Wizards put Creative Commons 5.1 under branch, I don't remember, it was like SACR 5.1. So let's just call it, we put it under branch A, but based upon what the SRD says and what Wizards of the Coast claims they want the SRD to do, it should have been put under branch B. But because they put it on branch A, there's certain things that they said they wanted to do, it can't do. And it also gives them some more wiggle room to change the things that we're afraid they were going to change. Did I explain that well? Probably not. But anyways, that brings us all the way around back to this, because this is using the 5e engine, but it is obviously not 5e D&D adjacent because it's cyberpunk, which means there's no magic or anything in it. So does SRD 5.1a cover this? Is this protected or not? That's the question. Moving on, we have Monster Rangers role-playing game from Steam Crow Studio. This is for Fate, the role-playing game I still did not understand. It's $55 is the most popular pledge for the PDF and print versions of the book, plus some additional PDFs and some dice. Monster Rangers RPG is set in an alternate 1913 where monsters are real and you're a part of a group that protects them from being exploited. That's right, you save monsters. The project comes as two 32-page booklets about playing in it. What's so specific about 1913? But okay. About running around in the world protecting monsters from, I guess, hunters. There's a lot of cartoons and stuff like this that, do that. I remember a TV show called Sanctuary. Yeah. But it's in Fate, which we all have heard my story about Fate. From Cheatin' Fair Games, we have Pixie Punks, a unique tabletop role-playing game of Fae Gone Bad, Zine Quest number 5. Pixie Punks, a unique tabletop role-playing game of Fae Gone Bad, Zine Quest number 5 from Cheatin' Fair Games. That is a mouthful. It is by Andrew Hand. It is a original system. It's $15 for the zine. Most popular pledge gets you the PDF and the print version. The land has been invaded. You're a pixie, goblin, redcap, whatever, and you have to save it with violent actions. So pixie punk, basically, yeah. Pixies doing violence and the kind of things you wouldn't expect pixies to do, like wield machine guns and, dress like goth girls and whatever. $15. From Planet X Games, we have Dungeon Malarkey, weird resources for your OSR fantasy RPG. This is an OSR source book. $15 is the most popular pledge. Gets you the PDF and print versions. It's another ode to Appendix Ed and / Appendix A with a whole bunch of new lore, oddities, random tables, things you can do with monster body parts. Like, hey, I need 15, tons of great worm bile and a mind slayer brain and whatever. So yeah, it's got recipes, it's got random tables, it's got all sorts of weird, odd things to spice up your OSR fantasy, whatever one fantasy OSR you might be using. I use Tunnels, Castles and Crusades, and Pathfinder. From Bloat Games, we have Robo World and Space Station M. These are Monster Manual zines from Bloat Games for Dungeons & Dragons 5e, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and Survive This. $19 gets you both games with all 4 system options written in them. It's a zine series, so it's about retro video games like Metroid and stuff like that, and how to run sort of that, feel of a campaign setting of, 8-bit space horror action platforming, stuff like that. So if you loved Metroid and, Final Fantasy and Ghosts and Goblins, I always like that one. And of course, Metroid, goes to the saying. Here is a zine by Eric Bloat, our friend, who makes some really great stuff. As you know, I'm a big fan of his Vigilante City. I now currently rated it as one of my top 5 superhero role-playing games. So yeah, this would definitely be one I would recommend, which is probably why there's a link to it. From Tabletop Engineer, we have Delver 7, resources for a random rolling referee for the OSR OSC. $11 is the most popular pledge. It gets you the print version and the PDF. It's random tables and stuff for dungeon delving and resources for DMs who love random tables and aren't clever enough to just go online and find the same random table for free. Yeah. I love random tables. I also think they can be a crutch. I also think that if you're going to use random tables, they have to be quick enough and complete enough that you can look at them, roll, and then keep playing, as opposed to just get bogged down and spending 10 minutes rolling random tables to get the result of one outcome. And if you're going to do that, you should probably just roll everything randomly ahead of time. And if you're going to roll randomly ahead of time, you might as well just build the dungeon. Otherwise, there are plenty of apps and plenty of websites that do random tables for you. From Chris Air Games, we have Biodrones and Cairo Clones. This is for Mothership. This is my nominee for 2023 Game of the Year, Mothership. It's body horror, like based upon Cronenberg and stuff like that, for Mothership type stuff. So yeah, some even more things like mutations, industrial horror, monsters, body horror, all the things that just make Mothership space horror wonderful. I'm not really sure how the space horror, cold space genre sort of started. I mean, I guess it was always been there, just that sort of idea that the scariest thing about science fiction in space is space, and that there are things in space that are so cosmically incomprehensible and just cosmically mind-destroyingly primordially, just not necessarily evil, but just horrific. Sort of always been there, I guess. But over the last couple of years, we've definitely seen an increase in sort of taking sci-fi towards that more darker, aliens flavored sci-fi as opposed to the more lighter Star Trek sci-fi or the more cold space realistic sci-fi of The Expanse and Traveler. $62 for this zine. $62 is a lot of money for a zine, but you do get some patches and dice, so that's cool. From 321 Action, we have The Sunset Limited for the 321 Action role-playing game. This is a $15. It's the most popular pledge for the PDF and the print versions. It's a zine, plus you get some more stuff for it. It's a Western adventure about, I guess, robbing a train. So it's a one shot, or it's just an adventure builder to run sort of a. No, so it's like a module. It's a module for Western, spaghetti Western themed, rob a train type adventure. So like any module, you could use it once or you could use it multiple times. It's obviously a subset for the 3-2-1 action role playing game. What is the 3-2-1 action role playing game? It's doesn't say, but it's free on drive-thru if you ever want to pick it up. From Delphi, we have Hera Base, a vast grim third-party release zine quest. Zine quest was a contest, if you remember correctly, last year. So that's why we're seeing so many different things for it. So this is for Morkborg, the vast grim space-based Morkborg hack that we talked about, actually, I think last week. So it's based upon the vast grim setting from Infinite Black, which we've talked about, and it's more dark space horror, but now using Morkborg. And I guess it's about a space station that you have to go explore. And once again, Ian Publishing has extended their Kickstarter crowdfunding for Level Up, a 5e Gate Pass Gazette Annual 2022 to another 2 weeks. $40 is still the most popular pledge for this to get the PDF and the print version of all the episodes of Gate Pass that came out in 2022, all combined in one huge collection of stuff for 2023. This is the 6th or 7th week in a row they've extended the Kickstarter, so they're really not hitting it. As I say every week, God, it feels like I've talked about this company and their product every week for the past 2 or 3 years, and yet still yet to see a copy of it, or yet to hear anybody else talk about it, or yet to see anybody play it. Level Up 5e, of course, is EN Publishing's take on 5th edition. Compare it D&D to Pathfinder. Level Up 5e would be compared to 5e. This is their Pathfinder. So it's 5e, but it's not. And it was one of the very first companies to claim that they were going to make an alternative 5e core rule set to offset some of the weirdness that was going on with 5e 3 or 4 years ago when this first came to press. But now we are deep into its production, and they're still trying to kickstart this thing for the 4th or 5th week in a row, which is not a good sign. I don't understand how Kickstarter works enough to explain to you, but general feeling is if you have to keep extending it, you haven't reached what your goal is, but you're still hoping you'll reach your goal. Because remember, Kickstarter is like gambling. It's probably the closest comparison. You're gambling that this thing will actually hit its needed monetary value to actually go to print. And if it doesn't, and the Kickstarter folds, you don't get your money back. Kickstarter's one and done. You invest, you're gambling on the success. You're hoping it succeeds. In return, you will get a clunk of free stuff. But if it fails, you don't get jack. You get a nice little apology letter. Thank you for the money. We don't have to give it back because that's part of the Kickstarter rules. So I guess these guys are hoping that if they keep pushing the final date back, it will reach that necessary level to go to print, so they won't have to be placed in the position of, hey, thanks for the money, which we're not going to give back, but the thing you invested in, it's not going to see the light. But don't worry, we'll have a new thing. But no, the money you paid for thing 1, that doesn't transfer to thing 2. If you want to support thing 2, you're going to have to give us a whole bunch of new money. What happened to the money you gave us for thing 1? Now that it failed, well, we're not giving it back because you gambled and lost. But don't worry, that money will go to buying Ken over there a new seat for his office because, yeah, whatever. Or something like that. I don't know how Kickstarter works. It's magic. And that seems to be it. 5th season looks like it's about to reach the end of its Kickstarter. That was the post-Holocaust fantasy game from Chris Prams, Green Ronin, We've got a couple others that looks like they're coming to an end, but nothing that really stands out. Links to the ones that I think are interesting down below. Obviously, Cities Without Numbers. And this one, Robo World, because everything Eric Bloodgate does is usually pretty damn cool. So if anything there that I mentioned is something you actually want to invest in, run, don't walk to your nearest Kickstarter, crowdfunding, group funding, backlight, magic, the give thing, gambling, role play words I don't even know anymore. It's pointless to even try and kick up, but there's sites that do this. You give them money. If it succeeds, you get stuff. If it doesn't succeed, thanks for the money, Joe. Let me know if you pick up any of these and what you think of them. Otherwise, I appreciate you sticking with me for the 20 minutes or so we've gone through this. And if you appreciate the content that I'm creating, please consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed yet. It costs you nothing and it helps me immensely. And remember, this is my job. So if you really appreciate what I'm doing, you could consider, I don't know, buying some of the amazing merch I have made that is on sale at Big Geek Emporium for only $2. Want to get a zine filled with wonderfully new monsters with my unique sense of humor and some actual scientific Wikipedia research? Pick these up now while they're on sale at Big Geek Emporium. Link down below. Till next time, I've been the OGGM. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later. See ya, nerds.